What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is my review of episode 2 and 3 of Moon Knight. So to let you know, this is going to be full spoilers on both episodes, and I'm going to include both episodes into this one video, so I will put the time stamps below if you want to just skip into the third episode. It's annoying my YouTube won't allow me to put the timestamps into the actual video itself. I don't know why, it just never works for me, so I will put the timestamp in the description below if you want to skip past episode 2 review and go straight to episode 3. But anyway, on with the review. So Moon Knight episode 2, what did I think? I absolutely loved this episode. I thought it was a brilliant episode. So far, Moon Knight is just being quality. I've loved both episodes. I just feel like the character Moon Knight, we haven't really got to see much of, but what we have seen, I really do like. I feel like the costume's great. He's a badass. I love the whole way that Moon Knight sort of takes over Stephen. I really like Stephen Grant's character. How Oscar Isaac plays Stephen Grant for me is just the best part of this series so far. There's a lot of things that I do like, but Stephen Grant for me is just, I love his screen time. I just love watching him. I could just watch him non-stop without him being Moon Knight. I just feel like how Oscar Isaac plays him is just so... It's just so good. He's very funny as well. Like, his comedic timing, how Oscar Isaac does the comedy in this is really good. Even some bits that are not even probably meant to be that funny or even funny, Oscar Isaac makes it funny. And I don't know, I'm finding myself laughing my head off quite a lot in this. So I'm really enjoying it. In this episode, we get to find out a whole lot more about who Moon Knight really is and Mark Spector. We find out that he's actually Khonshu's avatar, who is the Egyptian god. And Stephen finds this out pretty quickly and is completely, like, blown away by it, as you would be. And I really like that we found out this information. It happened quite quick, but I like that we know now. I did like the mystery behind everything. I liked that we didn't know all the answers. I would have liked to see that maybe go on a little bit longer, because I did like the whole mystery behind it and the wondering of, like, what is really going on. We get introduced to a new character called Layla, who turns out to be Mark's wife, which I thought was a little bit like, I have a question about that, because if Mark's been married and he's been with this woman for obviously a long time to be able to build a relationship up, then to get married, like, all this takes a lot of time to go through. So where was Stephen in all this? How long has he been in Stephen's body? I mean, Layla has no idea about Stephen, so that must mean that Mark was in control of Stephen's body for years without Stephen being present. Otherwise, she'd have some sort of inkling or some knowledge of Stephen being a person. But yeah, she doesn't. So there's a little bit of like around that whole situation of her being his wife. But anyway, we get introduced to her. She's obviously been on the side of Mark for years. She understands who Mark is. She knows about the suit. She knows that he becomes Moon Knight. Which was interesting to know. I thought that maybe she wouldn't understand that side of it, but she does. She also is looking for the scarab, as everyone is. We find out in this episode that the scarab is actually a compass that leads to Amit's tomb, which that's why Harrow is wanting this, because he wants to resurrect Amit. Feels so hard to say all that. Resurrect Amit. Also, we see in this episode that Harrow's cane has got the powers that's been given to him from Amit, and that's how he manages to summon the jackal that chases Stephen, which was a really cool scene. I actually loved how Stephen manages to summon the suit, and when he lands, he manages to just about land in a superhero landing, and then falls over. I thought that was pretty good. And the scene that we got next, where Stephen is talking to Mark in the suit, in the mirror, and he's actually just enjoying the fact that he looks really cool. I thought that was really funny. I really liked that moment. Yeah, that whole scene was just really cool. How he ends up fighting the jackal, but we don't get to see the jackal. It's all invisible, showing you that no one in the real world can actually see it. It's only Mark, Stephen, that can see the jackal. And I just thought it was a really interesting and fun moment of this episode. I loved how the suit just doesn't take, well, you don't take any damage when you're in the suit. I don't know if that's actually part of the comics or not. I don't know if they've just created that for this series, but either way, I love it. I like that we've got two versions of Moon Knight, one where it's Stephen in the suit, and then the other one where Mark is actually Moon Knight. I also really just love the dynamic between Stephen and Mark. Like in this episode where Stephen comes across that he has keys in his pocket that lead him to the storage, where he finds out that that's when Mark has been, I guess, staying, or that's where Mark's base is. And in this storage container. There's like guns and weapons inside of a big bag with loads of money. Steven's completely shocked by this, and he just is totally terrified for his life. He has no idea what's going on. This is obviously the moment where he finds out who Mark really is and who he really is, which is obviously the avatar of Khonshu. I just love this whole moment. I love the dynamic between Steven and Mark. I hope we get more of that, but I guess at the end of this episode, we see that Mark has fully taken control over Steven's body now. So maybe we're going to continue as Mark going further in the episodes. I'm not really sure, but I kind of hope that we don't. I want to see more of Steven. Maybe we're going to get a bit of 50-50 because Mark is obviously just Oscar Isaac's accent, and I just love Oscar Isaac's Liverpool. I love Oscar Isaac's London accent. It's just a whole different character I've seen Oscar Isaac play, and I just love him. So I just hope we do get more of Steven rather than more of Mark. I'm still quite intrigued by Harrow's story because obviously he is the villain, but he's just doing things that he has to do because Amit is making him. He's working for Amit. So for him, he's not really doing anything wrong. He's just trying to bring justice to the world, but we find out in this episode that he will actually kill kids. Like, he will kill children if needs be, and that was a really dark twist and touch onto his character, and I like that because it just makes the whole situation darker. I never expected that they would do that and include that into a Marvel Disney series, but they did, and I'm glad that they went there because it just makes the whole thing a lot more darker. Even though it was short, I still really enjoyed that we got some of Moon Knight, and what we got was really cool. I just can't wait to see more of him. I guess we're going to get more and more of Moon Knight as the episodes go on, especially now that it seems like we're Mark. I guess he's just going to be able to call on Moon Knight at any point, but there were some really cool shots of him running across the rooftops, and I just love that whole chase scene between the Jackal and Moon Knight, and obviously how he kills the Jackal by slamming it down onto that spike. That was really, really cool. But yeah, I just loved I loved all this episode. I thought it was brilliant. So yeah, for me, I'm loving this so far. To say that Moon Knight is a character that I've never known about. He's a whole new Marvel character. I just think it's a brilliant start to a new series. I can't wait to watch episode 3. I'm going to watch that literally as soon as I finish recording this. I'm going to watch episode 3 and then come back and record my review for that and include it until the end of this episode. But for now, I'm absolutely loving it. I love the characters. I love Stephen Grant a lot. Oscar Isaac's amazing in this. I love the whole dynamic between Stephen and Mark. I love the whole Khonshu situation. I love the whole Egyptian sort of theme that's running through it. Moon Knight is sick. I'm really interested in all the characters, the story. I can't wait to see where it's going to go. So for me, if I was going to rate this, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Anyways, guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please hit the like button. That would be amazing for me. Let me know down in the comments below. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you not? And is the suit part of the new suit, the one that Steven's in, is that part of the comics or not? I'd love to know. Please let me know down below. But thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next episode in a second of episode 3. Right, so Moon Knight, episode 3. I just finished watching it right now, and this episode for me was, again, I found it really, really enjoyable. I did enjoy it. It was probably the least favorite out of all the 3. As much as I did enjoy this episode, I feel like episode 1 and 2 was more interesting. I found it better. This episode has a lot, though. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. There's quite a bit of action. The stories, obviously, now they're in Egypt. This continues straight from the end of episode 2, where Mark wakes up and he's, well, not wakes up, but he's in the room, hotel room or whatever. He looks out the window and he's in Egypt. This whole episode is set in Egypt. Harrow is already here. He's got the compass. The compass is locating him to where Amit's tomb is, which he finds. Well, he finds the location of it. In the meantime, Mark Spector is in Egypt trying to find where Harrow is. He's running across all these different rooftops. He comes across these 4 people that are on the roof. 3 of them are murdering one guy. And I don't know how he knows where these guys are. He's just suddenly running across these rooftops and comes across them. So I don't know how he knows that they're there. It doesn't really show you. But anyway, he finds these guys. They have a big fight, which was a cool scene. I liked it, but I was thinking, why doesn't Mark just bring out the suit? Because all these guys have got knives. They're trying to kill him, and he's nearly getting hit by these knives, but he's managing to get away. He's obviously a skilled fighter, but I just didn't understand why he didn't bring out the suit, because then he's like literally going to kick the shit out of everybody, and he's completely safe from any harm. So yeah, I was thinking, why don't you do that? But maybe they just wanted you to see a fight with Oscar Isaac. Mark's then trying to find out from these guys where Harrow is. They won't tell him. And then he has the seizure, which Stephen kept having every time Mark wanted to come out. Mark now has that from Stephen, and suddenly he wakes up and he's in a taxi and he's like, what the hell's going on? I like that now Stephen's doing this to him, because these moments where he's having that little seizure moment where you don't see what happens and suddenly the environment changes, he's in a different location, I love that. I think it really, really works, and I'm just glad that they're still doing it. I thought that we might not have that happen really anymore, but we're having it again, so I'm glad about that. I hope that they continue to do that, because I find that sometimes almost more interesting than seeing what happens. I don't know, I just feel like it's a cool effect, and it makes you go like, oh shit, what happened? It makes you think about it more. So yeah, I hope that they just continue to do this. Mark and Khonshu are trying to find out where the secret passageway is into the Pyramid of Giza, which they find, and I really like this moment because I like the whole Council of Gods where they were sort of judging Khonshu. I keep wanting to say Tenchu. It's not Tenchu, that's a game. Khonshu. I wish that the gods were in their physical forms, their original godly forms, rather than it be their avatar bodies, but I still did enjoy it. Khonshu's trying to explain to the gods that Harrow is trying to resurrect Amit, but the gods don't believe him because Khonshu's been known in the past to deceive them, and he's been banished, so they don't really believe him at all. Harrow's even telling them that Mark is ill, he's a sick person, he's got these split personalities, he talks to himself, and his mind's being broken by Khonshu, and therefore the other gods, they just do not believe Mark and Khonshu whatsoever, and they let Harrow go. But then that sexy Egyptian goddess woman pulls Mark aside and tells him that there is an actual other way to find Amit's tomb, and that he needs to go and find Senshu's sarcophagus. So many random words that I've just never said in my life, just all at once. This part was a little bit confusing for me because the sexy Egyptian woman, she tells Mark that the sarcophagus was sold on a black market, and that gives him his lead. Then somehow Mark and Layla are on some boat to go to some place where there's a load of people riding horses with massive sticks. They're not really doing anything. They just keep running past and tapping the sticks with each other. I don't know what that is, but it looked absolutely shy. I would not go if that's supposed to be Egyptian entertainment. I would not go watch it. Nothing happens at all. So I don't know what was going on there. But anyway, they get to this place. They meet this guy. This guy somehow knows Layla. They have some sort of past history or relationship or something between each other, which I thought was like weird because they're just trying to find the sarcophagus, which has been sold on the black market. Somehow it turns out to be this guy that Layla knows. It just felt all a bit too, like, convenient and like, all right. How is Layla always just there at the perfect time or meets the person who turns out to be someone that she knows? I don't know. Like, in the episode 2, when Mark falls over when he's taking the bag with all the weapons and money from the storage containers, he's taking them outside, he trips over. Suddenly, Layla arrives on a motorbike exactly that moment. That, for me, was, like, too convenient and too coincidental. Then, in this episode, Layla finds Mark suddenly just out and about in Egypt, in Cairo. And it's like, well, it's so huge, just millions of people. How did you just bump into him? It's just a little bit too convenient, but whatever. Anyway, they're at the sarcophagus, they're trying to look into it, they're trying to find out some information on this, but they don't understand how to read it because they just can't decipher the codes, the Egyptian hieroglyphics, so they know that Stephen has to come out. Mark doesn't want this to happen because he wants Stephen to stay away, because every time Stephen's in control, things fuck up, it doesn't go Mark's way, and also he's probably worried that Stephen's going to not let him back in his body, so Mark's just trying to keep him away, but then Stephen does agree to decipher this and lets him know that all these different things, I don't know what they are, things inside the sarcophagus, you just fold them in half and make them into a shape of a star. You'll see the constellations of the stars, and you'll be able to find the location of Amit. But then guess who turns up right on cue? Out of nowhere, from fuck knows where, they arrive straight in the exact location where they needed to be. Harrow. Another really convenient coincidental moment, but whatever. Khonshu's then telling Mark to bring out the suit, and Mark really doesn't want to do it. Eventually he does, and then we get a really, really cool scene of Moon Knight. Now, Moon Knight for me is just really sick. I love the fighting, his fighting style. He's so good at fighting. The choreography of the fighting I thought was really, really good. I was just a little bit confused how he managed to get impaled by all these different spears, because I feel like, isn't the suit bulletproof? They were shooting bullets at him. He was completely fine. Not even anything's affecting him at all. Obviously, when the suit is on, when in the episode 2, when the Jackal is fighting Steven in the suit, there's literally no harm happening to him whatsoever. The suit's pretty much invincible. So I don't know how the spears went through Moon Knight. Maybe he's got the same sort of healing abilities as Deadpool. I don't know. It hasn't explained it yet, but I did think, how is that happening if bullets can't go through, but wood can? Anyway, nonetheless, we still got a really, really cool scene. I did enjoy this. And Moon Knight just kills everybody. He's so badass. I like how he uses the cloak and does this flip and just throws out loads of them little moon things and kills everyone at once. He's just a really, really cool character. I think he's sick. I just can't wait to see more of him. And obviously he's going to be in future MCU stuff because so far this is a very successful series and he's just a badass character. So I really, really like him. Then at the end of the episode, Mark finally allows Steven to come through and take control so that they can decipher this thing and find out how to find Amit's tomb, which Steven does. He sellotapes everything together, all these pieces together, which I could only think, God, there's going to be loads of sand in that tape. He's got sellotape trying to put this thing together in sand. I just couldn't stop thinking about how much sand's going to be all over the tape. It would drive me mental. Anyway, Steven manages to put it all together. He holds it up in front of the light and sees all the different holes through it for the constellation, but then realizes that this constellation is from 2,000 years ago. There's no way that they could find the location correctly because stars move very slightly, but the sky will be different now to what it was 2,000 years ago, which then Khonshu says to him, basically he can do that. He can move the sky back to how it was, but it comes as a cost, which means that Khonshu will then be trapped in stone. But this scene was really, really cool. I really liked how they moved the sky. I thought maybe that they would only be able to see it, but no, the whole of Egypt can see the sky twirling. I guess the whole world could see it. I'm guessing, because if the sky's moving, the whole planet will be able to see that, and that's obviously something that gods shouldn't be doing. They shouldn't be interacting with the world and humanity on that level anyway, so unfortunately, Khonshu gets put into stone, and we get a really cool moment with Harrow where we get to see that he actually is pretty dark and he is a bad guy because he says that he is grateful for all the pain. He actually enjoyed the pain that he inflicted onto people on behalf of Khonshu, and it's something that he enjoyed doing. So yeah, this was an interesting moment because obviously that shows you that Harrow is actually evil. I mean, we knew that he's obviously the villain, but he hasn't really shown his true dark side to himself just yet. And I feel like this was like the first introduction to that. So that was pretty cool. I think also you can hear, whilst he's slowly walking to Khonshu's stone, you can hear him walking on all that glass that's still in his shoes. Like, you kind of forget that, but he's actually going through every situation, every moment we see Harrow in this episode, this season so far, he's walking barefoot on glass in his shoe. So he's weird. I don't know why he does that. I don't know why he's doing that. Maybe it's just because he's inflicting pain on himself for the goddess. I don't know. But either way, it's still weird. So yeah, this episode was still really, really cool. I did enjoy it. It was probably my least favorite of the 3 so far. I feel like maybe because we're getting a lot of Mark at the moment, and I do like Mark, but he's not anywhere near as interesting as Steven. Steven's character, just how Oscar Isaac plays Steven, is just way more interesting for me than Mark. Mark just seems like, just a normal guy, whereas Steven feels like he's got a lot of characteristics to his personality, and I just really, really like Steven, so I hope we do get more of Steven in future episodes. But yeah, I still really, really enjoy this, but for me, if I was to give this a rating, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Anyways, guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the like button if you did, and let me know down in the comments, did you enjoy this episode or did you not? I'd love to know all your thoughts. And as always, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time on wAFF World.